Hello everyone, and then welcome to the continuation of our lesson with the Google Sheets. Okay, so in our previous lesson, we learned about sorting. So we learned to sort and then filter our documents. Okay, we learned to sort and then filter our documents. We also learned to do some filtering. Okay, and then freezing. Okay, so you can freeze or unfreeze. Okay, so if I want to unfreeze this, I can just highlight all the data that is frozen, and then we'll go to view, and I'll go to freeze, and then I'll go to know what's freeze. So now everything scrolls this way. We also learn to clear our grid lines, okay, by going to view, and then we went to what show, and then click this. So we have grid lines. If you don't want it, we'll just go to view, then go to show, and then click on grid lines. Hide grid lines. So yeah, grid lines are hidden. We're also able to convert our cell to our document to a table. It will give us another interesting look. Okay. We learn to filter our document by color by doing something. See, okay, yeah. But in this particular lesson, we want to learn to do this. Let's see. Yeah, so we want to do this, okay? So to do that, I'm going to our documents, and then let me just move this particular cell to this place. So I'm going to select this column, and I'm going to move it here. Okay. The reason I want to change this to a checkbox, okay. So that said, I'm going to just drag this here. Then I'm going to convert this to a check. So I'm going to then we are going to insert checkbox. Okay. So by default, let's see. So it has inserted all the checkbox for us. But there's no, I wanted us to show, let's see another option, okay. So let's say I want to insert checkbox here, then I'll go to insert, and I'll click on checkbox. So checkbox is inserted here, and I want to insert it to all these cells here. So all I have to do is to use this circle node here, and just drag it here. So you can see it's inserted here. Okay. But in our option, the reason why you can see there's no borderline, okay, which is why it auto added everything. The document. Okay, so by default, it's interactive by default. Like here. Okay, so if it's doing that, we can basically just use the percentage on our keyboard. Okay, just give it percentage here. So I'm going to pause this and then add the percentages manually. Okay, so first to get this, okay, this. Okay, so when the person checks this, you can see the value changes. Okay, to do that, when you click here, you can see we have the formula here. So to do that, what we're going to do is to click, go to our document. Okay, so in my document, what I'll do is wherever I want the value to be. So let's say I want it here. So I'm going to click here, and I'll use equal to, and I'll use counts if, okay, then parentheses. And then I'm going to highlight all this. Okay, and I'll bring comma true. Remember this checkbox, when you click it gives you two values, false, true and false. Okay, true and false, true and false. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll close the bracket or print with parentheses, and then I'll divide it. Okay, divided by counts a. Okay. Remember, it doesn't matter. You can see here I'm using small letters, and here I'm using capital letters. I can decide to use small letters. Counts a, then brackets, and then I'm going to select. Let me take this bracket off. I'm going to select these, okay, this table, and then I'll close. So now press enter. You can see we have 0 here. So if I start checking, you can see what we have here. Okay, so to make everything right, what I can do is to click here and change here to sorry, we change to percentage. Okay, yeah, we change to percentage by clicking on this. Okay. And then you can round it. You can round it by just clicking on this. Okay. So we can see it's rounded it to the nearest whole number. Or something. Yeah. So now if I keep clicking, so now we have 100%. So now let's work on this particular one where we have the bar increasing and then decreasing. Okay, now to generate this bar, okay, you can see the formula here. There's a formula. Okay, so if I zoom in, you can see the formula here in the function. So there's a function here. So to do that, let's go to this, and then we are going to select. Let's select this cell. Let's say we select this cell. And I'm going to type equals the spark line. So spark line is going to create a mini bar. Okay, a mini bar. Okay. Then I'll use parenthesis. First, let's create the parenthesis, and then we want our bar to be dependent on this. Okay, so the influence, this particular value here is going to influence our bar, so we need to make sure we select it. So which is h2, that's the cell here. Okay, and then I'll bring a comma, and then curly braces, and then we are going to use quotes. So quotes, and then I'm going to type chart type. Okay, chart type, and then I'll give it another quote, comma. Then the chart type is going to be a bar. Okay, so quotes bar. Okay. So the bar should be like a bar, like a not a line, okay, or a column, but it should be a bar. Okay, which is why we are choosing. We are using a bar. Then I'll give it another quote. Then on semicolon. Okay. Then another um, quotes, and then marks. Now we'll set our marks to 1. Okay. Um, comma 1. When we set our max to 1, meaning it's going to give us a full bar. When we set to 0.5, it's going to half that bar. Okay. Yeah. So, and then we'll give it semicolon, and then another quotes, and then our color, we'll set our color 1, give it another quotes, comma, and then we'll give our color. So let's say I want to give our color blue, so I'll give another quotes. So blue. So the actual color is going to be blue, and then we'll close the quotes. Okay. And then we are going to use the parenthesis, sorry, the curly braces to close it, and then the parenthesis to close the entire distance. So when we click on this, so we can see now we have this. Okay, when I click on this, it's going to increase. Okay. You can always change, double click here, and then change the color as you wish. So let's say I want red. Okay, so now it's red. You can also like change the color to any hex value. Okay, so if you want to change the color to any hex value, you can click here, and then we can have like custom, and then let's say you want a color here. Okay, so there's the hex value, and then I'm going to copy this. And then since this is selected, okay, I'm just going to cancel this first. I'm going to paste this here. You can paste it here too. Okay. You can see the color is changed. Okay. So this is something that you can work around depending on whatever you want to do. You just do that. Yeah. So thank you for watching. Sorry, I forgot to explain the color one. Okay. So Color one. The color one, okay. So let's say you have multiple color values, okay, to represent different distance. So this is going to be our default color, which is color one. Then you can add another optional color. You name that color color two. So to do that, you can just bring a semicolon and then you just do follow this color procedure. Okay. But this we are working with just this particular value, so we just stick to one color. So thank you.